All right, let's dive right in. Today in this explainer, we're cutting through that absolute mountain of AI hype to see how professional designers can actually integrate Google Stitch into complex day-to-day workflows. We're going to skip past the basic party tricks and look at this tool strictly through the lens of hardcore professional execution.
Here's the game plan for today's teardown. First, AI design meets pro workflows. Second, generating the initial concept. Third, the Stitch to Figma pipeline. Fourth, tackling complex project workflows. And finally, the senior designer verdict.
Section 1. AI design meets pro workflows. Conquering the blank page.
Now, if you're a senior product designer, you already know the most valuable thing an AI tool can do right now isn't finishing the entire job for you. No, it's acting as a high-powered launchpad for your ideas. And honestly, that perfectly captures Google Stitch's main value prop. It absolutely conquers that terrifying blank page problem. I mean, starting a new project and staring at a pure white canvas is daunting for anyone, right? Stitch's superpower is getting those initial concepts, along with an automatic style tile or mood board, onto the canvas immediately. It gives you something to react to right out of the gate.
Section 2. Generating the initial concept. Stress testing Stitch.
So let's see how this actually plays out in practice by giving Stitch a bit of a stress test with a basic prompt. We asked it to design a marketing site for a modern women's clothing line, and we specifically requested some feminine touches and a cool liquid glass aesthetic. We purposely kept it relatively simple just to see how the AI interprets foundational design language.
And what's genuinely fascinating here is the sheer volume of context the AI pulled from just that one single prompt. It didn't just spit out a homepage. It impressively anticipated our broader needs, planning out a shop page, a collection grid, product details, and even an editorial page. It dropped an instant style guide with primary colors right onto its infinite canvas. And perhaps the wildest part, it actually baked responsive max widths directly into those design layouts from the very start.
But, okay, let's ground ourselves and compare the reality of this tool to our industry standard. Yes, Stitch gives us this amazing infinite canvas, instant conceptual variations, and this really cool live audio feedback mode. However, it lacks a layers panel. It doesn't have a properties panel, and this is crucial. While it does create responsive frames, it completely lacks adaptive mobile typography switches. So if you check the mobile view, the fonts just don't scale down appropriately, which tells us one very clear, undeniable truth, which is that Figma is absolutely still required for your final execution.
Section 3. The Stitch to Figma pipeline, bridging the gap.
Since Stitch is missing those fine-tuned controls we need, we have to anchor our workflow back to our ultimate destination, Figma. The great thing is, the copy-paste process to get there is ridiculously simple. You just grab your generated artboards, select the Convert into Figma-ready design option, copy them, and then just hit Command-V in a fresh Figma file. It acts as this seamless bridge, pulling all your responsive sizes, desktop, tablet, mobile, directly into your Figma workspace, where you can actually get your hands dirty and manually manipulate those layers.
But hang on. Before you actually hit export, Stitch has one more pretty sweet trick up its sleeve for this conceptual phase. You can use its instant prototype feature right there on the canvas. Meaning, you can test out hover shimmers, image zoom effects, and vertical scrolling without having to wire up all those complicated interaction noodles. It's a massive time saver for getting the feel of a concept down before you fully commit to polishing it up in Figma.
Section 4. Tackling complex project workflows. Beyond basic prompts.
Okay, basic websites are great, but things get really interesting when we throw this into a complex, pre-established design system. To test this out, we used an accounting note-taking app design that was already in flight. Instead of some basic text prompt, Stitch was fed a product requirements document generated by Claude, along with a raw markdown style guide that laid out the exact typography, colors, and layouts. And the result? Stitch successfully mapped all those highly technical inputs into accurate design variations that actually stayed true to the established brand guidelines. Pretty impressive, right?
Once we had that base design established in Stitch, it basically transformed into a rapid conceptual engine. By jumping into Stitch's live audio mode, it was possible to literally just talk to the AI and request layout variations on the fly, like testing a single-column embedded transcript against a two-column layout. It spits out these variations in seconds, giving you the ability to essentially riff on complex product architecture in real time.
But listen, even with all this horsepower, even if you throw an insanely detailed prompt at it, like that famous Victor Audi prompt that creates those heavily animated, complex layouts, the output is still generally what we'd call a B- or C+ level design. As a senior designer, you know you wouldn't live and die by this file. This isn't the final destination. It's just a phenomenal place to bring your thoughts to life in their rough states.
Section 5. The Senior Designer Verdict.
where execution begins.
Ultimately, the most crucial takeaway here is understanding exactly where Google Stitch's job ends and where your rigorous professional execution begins. If you want to maintain true quality control on complex projects, certain tasks absolutely must be reserved for your final polish in Figma. We're talking about tweaking exact color hex codes, dialing in that precise typography sizing, adjusting granular pixel spacing, mapping elements to your strict componentized systems, and of course, managing that adaptive mobile text we talked about earlier. Simply put, Stitch handles the broad strokes, Figma handles the masterful details.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want you to ask yourself a question. Is your workflow ready for AI-driven creative direction? Because at the end of the day, a true pro workflow isn't about letting AI do your job for you. It's about figuring out exactly how you can leverage these rapid conceptual engines to conquer the blank page, test out layouts, and get stakeholder feedback way faster, without ever sacrificing the rigor and pixel perfection of your final execution. How are you going to integrate that copy-paste pipeline into your work today?